So I think that what we're going to see that software will continue to be kind of the main distraction on every industry. But at the same time, we're going to see less and less issues happens, less and less frictions in the deployment.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi Tech and sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Turing, Upwest Labs, and Hillel at Stanford. Software is eating the world, and Raziel Tabib, the founder and CEO of Codefresh, is helping make it happen. Raziel is the founder and CEO of Codefresh, a CI/CD platform designed to help teams confidently ship cloud-native applications faster. Prior to Codefresh, Raziel had over 15 years of experience building software and running products in HP, Mercury, and more. An entrepreneur, technology enthusiast, and a software builder at heart, Raziel holds an MBA from Bar Ilan University in Israel and a BA in Math and Computer Science.
Good morning, Raziel Tabib, all the way from California. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. We reflected just a second ago about actually my first visit to Codefresh by accident back in Mountain, but that was your old office, right? I think you had a little upgrade since then.
Yes, we moved. Although during these times you don't really see offices that much. I'm here alone by now, but hopefully people will come back.
I love it. Raziel, there's so much to talk about and so many insights that I have to extract from you about, the world of continuous integration and deployment, where software is taking us and not, what the software is actually doing, but how we build great software in collaborative teams, remotely, at scale. All those incredible questions that your company Codefresh is answering. You're backed by some of my favorite investors, Red Dot Ventures and Viola, among others. And I think that the journey that you're going through is just incredible. And I'm an avid customer myself, and I just love the product. And it's an honor for me to speak to entrepreneurs that build the products that I just love using on a daily basis. Raziel, so before we get started, just tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the journey, which is pretty fascinating. And you did quite a lot of things before you started Codefresh.
Yes, I think that it's I'm really doing what I really love now because I've, in my background, in my experience, I've been predominantly a developer, like a software engineer. That's where I started. That's what I studied. And then at one point moved to product management. And, it's amazing to see how over the times really software becoming, the main factor, what's disrupting every industry. And as I moved into product management, I remember back then, I started in Mercury and then moved to Hewlett Packard. And then at one point, I was seeing a lot of the changes that are going on and how software, containers and all of these technologies comes up. And actually the main goal was to allow software to be built and deployed even faster. And, even from this large company, I really wanted to build that then in HP and got like huge fundings and engineering and all of that. But what really happens in this large organization is that things move very slowly. And I remember, end of the year of 2013, when it was like the holidays time, the shutdown, and I was like sitting there in Miami, and I got a phone call from these high executive managers in HP who's actually telling me, listen, we're a large company, we're struggling with legacy products, and we can't really afford this new and innovative project within HP anymore. We have to shift the resources back to legacy product. And I was walking around, frustrated for a little bit. And then, I remember I called the first manager that actually funded it within HP. And I told him, listen, it's such a pity. This project that I so believed in is being put on hold. And he was saying, you know what, how about I give you like, $25,000? Well, just go and do it yourself. And, back then you're thinking, oh my God, what I can build with $25,000. You can build a world with $25,000. That can be amazing. And I'm walking around there it was like in a Fontainebleau hotel in Miami. And then I'm sitting in a coffee place there thinking about, should I do it or not? And the name of the coffee place is like Fresh. And as I was thinking about it, I said, I just can't do that, and I called my co-founder, Oleg, who was heading the engineering back then. I told him, let's just go and do it. And, and since then, it's just been an amazing journey because we truly believe that, as you said, software is disrupting every single industry. And, even, you're thinking about it during these COVID times, how people can still connect and work and collaborate. And it's all, there's so many things you can say about software, but it's so enabling our kids to go to school, even though, from remotes, ourselves to work, people to connect and so on, which is amazing to be part of this transformation, building a platform that allow organization to innovate faster, to streamline software development faster, and so on. So that's in a very, very nutshell.
I think that one of the most incredible things that I've come to understand this past year, and to quote Mark Andreessen, software is eating the world, right? It's not even disrupting it; it's eating the world as it is, eating it whole with one bite. And I think that one of the things that surprised me most coming out of my 5 years in the IDF was thinking that I understood what software can do, but then seeing the potential of what's actually happening and how fast it's going, and how we're barely scratching the surface of how software is going to play an integral role in our lives. I mean, we walk around and we keep talking, yeah, technology, yeah, software, but we fail to understand that we're just in the beginning of how everything in our world is going to be directly connected to software, which is why I think what you're doing is particularly incredible.
It is amazing. I always, sometimes when I meet with people at Codefresh, and many of them are even younger than me, and like I tell them about, there was a world when we actually walked to the bank branches. It's not that we can do everything, from mobile. There's a day when we need to expand, put an expense report together. We used to collect all the receipts and put them in a bag, and now you can just take pictures of them. Think about, where you are now in Hippo, how you like kind of really disrupting the insurance industry, which was like for many years something that was so cumbersome. And now it's just become more streamlined and more fun to work with and so on. So being the platform that actually, enabled it, and we helping our customers, whether it's in the gaming industry or banking industry or insurance industry or fintech industry, really building software faster, deploying software faster, introducing, new capabilities. It's really exciting.
So, Raziel, I want to now approach the teacher in you, because I know that you're teaching about 27,000 students at Udemy, according to what I saw. So I'm going to ask you now to put on the teacher hat. And for whoever is not, in tune with, the latest developments and the terms like continuous integration, continuous development, can you tell me a little bit about the past, present, and future of software development? How does it happen, and how does Codefresh with the continuous integration and deployment go as part of this supply chain of building great software and bringing it to a product?
Yeah, so I think one thing important to understand is that as software really disrupting every industry, every technology, every company, the technology company, and as you want to innovate with technology and with software, you're building and you're hiring a lot of software engineers that are writing code and building code and so on, and your software becoming more and more complex. And the one thing that as we're living in a world that really technology, it's all about technologies. Organization really seek to kind of push new changes and new features, but in the same time, also realize that when they deploy these new changes, they can't afford that things will break, because their reputation can be, be broken in a bit. You just get, your site is down, and like everyone is talking about in social media, and you lose your reputation, you lose your credibility, and so on. So there is always this challenge about how I really grow and make my team velocity much higher, and about deploy software more frequently. But in the same time, I want to minimize the risk. I don't want to introduce changes or vulnerabilities or things that will harm my business, because that really goes like fire. Immediately everyone knows about it. And what Codefresh is doing is, whenever a developer is making a change, we're taking that change, we're packaging it, we're testing it, and then in the end of the day, we're deploying it. And I think that there's so many best practices now that we've seen from companies like Google and Facebook that really build around how to minimize the risk of deploying software. So, for example, one of the very common practice now is, instead of just going and just replace the new versions, the old version with the new versions, you kind of get the new version or the new features that you want to introduce, and you run them side by side, the old version, and just expose it to some people, to some industries, to segments. We know that from Facebook that sometimes, there are new features that are coming up, but only certain communities can see that. And then like gradually you expose it to more and more and more till everyone is it. But that allows you to kind of really control the exposure of these features. And if there's any issue that comes up, you are in a great position to actually roll back and immediately bring it back. So this way, this practice that Google have been working so hard to implement, and Netflix and Facebooks and so on. This is what we bring in a platform to kind of allowing every technology company to implement these best practices, to be able to innovate, to streamline changes faster, but in the same time have full control over how they expose and release these features and being able to mitigate the risk and roll back.
So just to paint a clear picture, because I think that today we're so used to saying, on the App Store, every day I'm getting another update to another application, right? It's so smooth today that I think to an outsider it may seem that it's so easy, and it's always been so easy. Yeah, why not just write some code and send an update to all the users? Well, today it is easier thanks a lot also to Codefresh. But can you share with me, from your experience, what is it like, 5-10 years ago when we don't have these tools to do it so smooth?
So first of all, we used to wait for so long to get new software and changes that, with new features. I remember back in the day when I was engineering Mercury, we released new software like every year or a year and a half. You had to kind of really wait for so long to get these new features coming. And it's so exciting that we're living in a day now that things are moving so fast. We still, see major releases of operating systems coming up in a year or so time frame. But there's also lots of like mini releases that we get a lot of features and a lot of capabilities and so on. When we work with our customers, and we closely, with even unicorns like yourself and so also like Monday.com, and we see like how we allow them to really release new features very frequently. Features can come up on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so on. This is something
Right. I think what's actually something that's a little hidden is that, we see sometimes the big announcements for the updates, which it could be on a weekly basis or once every 2 weeks. But the reality is that, some companies every hour they release something, and they don't even announce it. It's just happening because it's so smooth. It's not even, you don't have to go on a full on celebration because it's part of our life.
Exactly. And as you said, being part of it, with building that platform that really allows organization to move fast and basically to remain the market leaders. Because if you not innovate fast, if you not move as fast with technology, you basically lose your place in the market. You're not as leader as you would like to be.
Right. Talk to me about the future. Where are we heading? Because things are moving so fast. What's next?
I think as things are moving so fast, so first of all, the ability to, as you said, like really control what's going on, because there are always things and human mistakes that happen. There are always issues that are being introduced, and being able to allow organization to really figure out using machine learning what potentially can go wrong. And then using this machine learning, you identify these issues, and the software will auto roll back. Will not wait for the issue to happen. It will just predict the issue that it will happen, that it is about to happen, and then roll back, automatically and alert the engineers and the DevOps. So I think that what we're going to see that software will continue to be kind of the main destruction on every industry. But at the same time, we're going to see less and less issues happens, less and less frictions in the deployment, because we always like to kind of, get an early exposure to this new iOS or whatever it is, but how frustrated when the thing stops working and so on. So I think it's even amazing to see how our expectations from software is increasing over time. We were like much more tolerant to issues that happened in the past, and we have much less patience now. If things don't work, we just right away we move to someone else. We move to some other product. So our platform allows our customers to move fast, but also to predict issues from happening and mitigate risks before they actually occur.
So perhaps, most interestingly, in some capacities, you are educating the market. On another capacity, the market is getting educated naturally because, if I'm saying that my friend developer, another company is releasing more quickly than I am, then I'm wondering why, and I'm fixing it. And obviously, there's the value that you're creating is so obvious, right? I mean, there's very little an explanation that needs to be done in order to understand the value that you're creating. And nevertheless, is it easy to just integrate into other companies? How much explanation do you actually have to do to tech leaders to explain what you're doing and why Codefresh is the right tool for them?
I think, it's getting, I thought it will be like harder than it actually is, because when
That's
we
good.
come into, yeah, it's good. When we come to organization and, it seems like still majority of the organization, they would like to move faster than they actually move. They actually see the bottlenecks that they have with DevOps. There are lots of, think about it as like if all of these cars wants to go, let's say here from Palo Alto to San Francisco, but I have only one lane. It's how frustrating it is. You kind of want to build a platform that will allow you to build more lanes and really streamline the traffic from one place to the other. If I can, like, to some level use this metaphor, and that's very same. And it's very similar when you come into organization and tell them about how fast do they want to deliver software. But in the same time, you also, in the very same time, also tell them about how much they would like to avoid risks. Because in many cases, there is this conflict in organization. There are the people who really want to streamline deployments, and there are the people who it's working, don't touch. I'm really, really, really cautious, and I don't want anyone to touch my production because it's
All
working now.
right.
And each time it's not working, I have goals about how, the SLA, and that it's working 99.999% of the time. So how do you bring a platform that gives organization this confidence that they can streamline more deployments, more software deployments, but in the same time have this control over this deployment? So at any point of time, the machine will identify issues before they happen and will roll back. That's a message that resonates with almost every organization, because again, everyone wants to differentiate now by software, whether it's airlines or banks or insurance companies or fintechs or any other industry.
Right. So I think that one of the most interesting insights that I'm taking from this is that at the end, writing great software, deploying great software, it comes down to the same foundation, right? It comes down to the same best practices, the same mechanisms that are both, predicting whether something will go wrong or having a test suite that does it for you. And then having, this figure in the middle that is able to maintain all of that so that you don't need, have different DevOps, colliding and keep changing and looking at what the world is doing. You have a company like Codefresh that looks at the world, says, okay, we understand the best practices, partially because we get feedback from all of our customers. And so you're getting the benefit of all of the insights and all the, either failures or successes we had with previous clients.
Exactly. And we're bringing it from a unique position, because that's what we do in Codefresh. We're building these platforms, and it's important really for startup to really kind of frame what is it that you do. So we build this platform, and we're focusing on building this platform that's really streamline, the deployment of software. But in the same time, as we're building just that, we're giving organization the flexibility they need to say, okay, I want to today deploy my software to Amazon, tomorrow to Google. I want to have the flexibility to shift also to Microsoft, like really not being locked to one vendors. Same for like other tools. There's so many great independent software vendors at the moment, there's some companies that like to work with these vendors over the other and so on. So building this bus of deployment that seamlessly integrate and giving the organization the freedom to choose which tools and which platform they want to work, and yet still help them to streamline the changes. That's a key value, because we are living in a world that software is moving so fast and so many great tools are coming, so many great platforms. And you want to keep the options to yourself to really choose at any point of time the best of breed tools and piece them together.
I love that. Raziel, when we just started this conversation, you said how lucky you are and how you just love what you do and you love, going to work and you love building Codefresh. What does it come down to? Does it come down to the leadership aspect? Does it come down to the solving a problem that you really care about? What is it?
At the very, very core, I think it comes down to people. Like, I really love people. I really love to work with people, and it's amazing to see, as both as you building company and also you're building customer base and you building, a great supporter community, on the board. You work a lot with people, and I love doing that. I love doing
Amazing.
that, and I can do that day in and day out, over the weekend. Really kind of working with people, get people to really believe in what you are, and being part of this journey. It just, kind of elevated, because you're not alone in this journey. There's so many people that you work with, and I really love it. Like, it's I can't even tell how exciting it is to work with people, and it's amazing.
Raziel, I have to say that it shows very, very clearly, and this is a perfect segue to the most important question, which is 3 words that you would use to describe yourself.
I think it is this. Like, I love people. I love people. I love building things with people. And there is no other place than, I think, what I'm doing now. I think that
I love it.
building what we do with the people and working with people, helping them solve the problem, that's what I like doing. That's what I love
Raziel,
doing.
toda raba. Thank you very, very much. I look forward to
Thank you,
using your
Michael.
product in about 30 minutes when I'm back to work. And I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Stay
much.
safe
Have
and
a
stay
great
healthy.
day. Take care. Bye bye.